There has long been a small yet persistent debate in the world of coffee. On one side are those who love Phin-brewed coffee or machine-brewed coffee. People who believe the true flavor of coffee only appears when the beans are freshly ground and extracted right before drinking. On the other side are those who simply open a packet of instant coffee, pour in hot water, give it a quick stir, and move on with their day. At first glance, this debate seems like a contest about quality. But if you look more closely, you begin to realize that these two types of coffee are actually serving two completely different purposes. One protects the experience of flavor, while the other protects time and convenience in modern life. Let's begin with Phin coffee, because many people consider it the standard of what coffee should be. When you brew a cup using a Phin filter, the process starts with grinding the coffee beans, a small step that is incredibly important. The moment the beans are crushed, hundreds of aromatic compounds begin to escape into the air. Hot water slowly passes through the layer of ground coffee, extracting oils, acids, and flavor compounds, creating a cup of coffee with remarkable depth. That is why many people describe freshly brewed coffee as a complex experience, one where you can notice multiple layers of aroma and taste. Yet all of this comes with one condition: time. A cup of Phin coffee cannot appear instantly. It takes a few minutes for the water to drip through the filter, and it requires tools and preparation. For many people, that slow ritual itself is part of the joy of drinking coffee. Now let's turn to instant coffee. Many people assume it is simply a cheap version of real coffee. But in reality, it is the result of a rather fascinating technological process. Instant coffee actually begins as real coffee that has been roasted and brewed just like any normal cup. After that, the water is removed from the brewed coffee through drying or freeze drying, leaving behind dry crystals that contain the coffee's flavor. When you pour hot water over these crystals, they dissolve and recreate the original cup of coffee. The key point here is not complexity of flavor, but speed. In less than a minute, you have a cup of coffee ready to drink. In a world where many people only have a few minutes in the morning before leaving home, that convenience is precisely why instant coffee continues to exist. When comparing these two types of coffee, many people tend to think in very simple terms: which one tastes better? But a more interesting question might be, which one fits a particular situation better? Phin coffee is like a carefully prepared meal cooked in the kitchen, where every step matters, and the final result is a rich, complete experience. Instant coffee, on the other hand, is more like a quick meal that still satisfies your basic needs. One does not necessarily need to replace the other, because they were created to serve different moments in the day. A quiet weekend morning might be the perfect time to watch each drop of coffee fall slowly from a Phin filter. But on a busy weekday morning before work, a packet of instant coffee and a cup of hot water may be all you need to begin the day. Beyond convenience, there is another aspect that is rarely mentioned when people talk about instant coffee efficiency in transportation and production. When coffee is dried into an instant form, most of the water has already been removed before the product is packaged. This significantly reduces both its weight and volume compared to liquid coffee or ready-to-drink coffee products. Transporting less weight means consuming less energy throughout the supply chain. In a world that is becoming increasingly concerned about environmental impact,
even better.
this characteristic sometimes makes instant coffee a more resource-efficient option. Even though this point is rarely brought up in debates that focus mainly on flavor, another topic that often appears in discussions about coffee is health, particularly a compound known as acrylamide. This substance can form when foods are roasted or baked at high temperature, including coffee, because the production process of instant coffee can sometimes result in slightly higher levels of acrylamide than freshly brewed coffee. Some people worry that it may be harmful. However, current research indicates that the amount of acrylamide found in coffee, whether instant or freshly brewed, remains very low compared to levels that could cause significant health effects. In other words, if coffee is consumed in normal amounts, this difference is unlikely to be a decisive factor. When looking at the bigger picture, the supposed battle between instant coffee and brewed coffee turns out not to be a real battle at all. It is more like a trade-off between two different values. One side prioritizes deeper flavor and the ritual of brewing, while the other values speed and convenience. Neither choice is completely right nor completely wrong, because each one is designed for different moments in life. Perhaps that is precisely why both have continued to exist side by side for decades. So the next time you hold a packet of instant coffee or prepare to brew a cup of drip coffee, try looking at it from a different perspective. Instead of thinking that one type is winning over the other, you might simply be choosing the tool that fits that moment. Sometimes, the patience of a slowly dripping cup of coffee is exactly what makes a morning special. At other times, having a cup ready in just a few seconds is what helps you keep up with a busy day. And perhaps, in the world of coffee, the real winner is not a particular type of coffee at all, but the fact that we always have different ways to begin our morning.